All right, joining us now, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. I know I'm going to see a smile on your face. What is your reaction to this every surrogate out there? Bill Clinton, Mark Cuban, Stacey Abrams, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, and Joe Biden, not exactly helpful.
Well, and first of all, it's very tough to follow Laura Trump, who's doing an amazing job at the Republican National Committees. But look, what you're watching is sort of like Custer's Last Stand. I mean, these folks are all on the verge of a disaster. They're running in circles. They're saying things that are hysterical, untrue, unbelievable. And if you watched Kamala earlier today, she's just plain getting exhausted. She's never campaigned. She's never had to win anything. It's all been given to her. And now suddenly in the last week, she's I suspect, beginning to realize she's going to lose. And you're going to see more and more desperation from now through next Tuesday as it really sinks in that this is over. Donald J. Trump's going to be the next president. Kamala Harris is going to lose, and I assume either go back to San Francisco or maybe join the Obamas on some very fancy island. But the fact is that I think you're going to see a desperation. I also believe personally, and I can't prove this, but I believe that at some point about 3 weeks ago, Jill and Joe Biden looked at each other and said, you know, if Joe's the only person to ever beat Trump, that's kind of an interesting legacy. And for the last couple of weeks, he has undercut her over and over. And think about that scene on the ellipse. 70,000 people, the vice president, right in front of the White House. Do you see the president? Is he invited? Is he given dignity? Is he a guest? No, he's hidden. You don't think Joe Biden resented that? And so he says, oh, let me say something that'll get people to pay attention, like garbage. So he drowns her entire event. And we think that he did this by accident. I don't. I think it was deliberate, and I think it worked.
To go and lean Julia Roberts and cut an ad about women lying to their husbands, that it's okay, followed up by her speech this week where she flat out lied and said Donald Trump is going to have a national abortion ban when he has said many times the exact opposite. He's going to limit access to birth control. The exact opposite is true, that he doesn't support, he'll stop IVF treatment. The exact opposite is true. Or have Hollywood elitist jackass, really? I'm gonna look for what manliness looks like to George Clooney, the Hollywood jackass, spoiled elitist? No, thank you. He's no John Wayne.
Look, let me go out on a limb for a second as a historian. These people are dishonest. They're relentlessly, routinely dishonest at every level. And so for them to tell people to lie is just one further example of the depth of their corruption. I mean, how do you run a country where you're walking around saying wives should lie to their husbands, husbands should lie to their wives? I mean, what kind of a totally amoral, corrupt, sick system have the Democrats developed? If you think about it at that level, it is astonishing, the decay. And this is what, frankly, why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. switched parties, but didn't switch parties, but was campaigning Sunday with Donald Trump, because the party of John F. Kennedy, the party of Robert Kennedy, it's gone. I mean, instead of having dignity and patriotism and a sense of morality, these are really sick people. And the more you watch them, to say, oh, why don't you lie to your husband as a publicly advocated ad, that is sick. Oh. And I think we ought to have the courage to say this is a sick, dishonest party.
To demonize and denigrate African Americans the way Stacey Abrams and Barack Obama, I thought they wanted African American men to vote for them. Okay. Insulting them is not the best strategy, in my view. Telling women, if they're trying to target women voters, lying to your husband, that message is not exactly a winning message. Or lying about abortion and contraception and IVF. you know, it's all to scare them, which tells me they must be scared that their internal numbers show that they're not doing as well as they want with those particular demographics, considering they're the identity politics party.
Look, let me just pose a simple question that I hope some reporter will ask Stacey Abrams, who's never gotten over, by the way, losing and has lost, and it's over. Talk about election deniers. How can she say that young black men who vote for Trump are racist? I just want to understand. How do you say to a young black male, you're a racist? I have no idea what she's saying, except that she's learned a set of code words, and she thinks if she repeats them like pablum, that somehow they'll have meaning. I mean, it's a little bit like watching some Walt Disney film about a wizard or something. You know, how can you be a young black male and be a racist? This is just Stacey Abrams personifying the collapse and the insanity of the modern Democratic Party.
You're giving her a break. She also said that African-American men are sexist. She said both. So let's be clear.
I didn't say they couldn't be
Speaker
sexist, but they sure can't be racist.
I have no clue. I don't think she has a clue what she's saying. I appreciate you being with us. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.